The Grand Council chamber stretched out like a small moon, its walls made of light that shifted through colors no human eye was meant to see. Ambassador Marcus Chen walked down the central pathway, his boots clicking against the floor while 847 alien species watched him in silence. Some had eyes, some had sensors, and some perceived reality in ways Chen could not begin to understand. But they were all looking at him now. The message had come 3 hours ago. Emergency session. Mandatory attendance. Humanity's presence required immediately. Chen had been eating breakfast at the time. Real eggs from Earth, expensive as hell this far from home. He had finished his meal before responding. No need to rush for people who thought in centuries. The War Master stood at the center of the chamber. Calthor the Unyielding, they called him. His species was crystalline, each body a natural formation of living diamond that had grown for 3,000 years. Light passed through him in strange ways, making him look like a walking prism. He was old, powerful, and until this moment had been content to let the younger species play at politics while the real power slept. Chen reached the speaking circle and stopped. He did not bow. He did not show any sign of respect beyond showing up. This was already annoying half the species present, he knew. Humans had a reputation for being casual with authority. Ambassador Chen of the species designated human. Calthor's voice came through the translation network, sounding like wind through crystal caves. You have been summoned to hear the judgment of the Galactic Empire. Around the chamber, representatives shifted nervously. A judgment. That word had not been used in 500 years. The human species has been observed for 50 cycles since achieving faster-than-light capability. Calthor continued. In that time, you have violated 127 galactic edicts. You have settled in restricted zones. You have mined in forbidden systems. You have traded without proper licensing. You have explored regions marked as prohibited. You have expanded your territory without authorization. Holographic displays appeared around the chamber, showing human colonies springing up like weeds across the galaxy, ships going where they were not supposed to go, miners tearing apart asteroids in systems that were supposed to be preserved, human merchants cutting deals with species that were supposed to be isolated. These are not minor infractions, Calthor said, his voice growing harder. These are deliberate violations of laws that have kept the galaxy at peace for millennia. Laws that every species must follow. Laws that you have treated as suggestions. Chen listened quietly, his face showing nothing. Around him, other ambassadors were whispering to each other, their translation networks creating a soft buzz of noise. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked relieved that it was not their species under scrutiny. The penalty for such violations is clear, Calthor announced. Humanity will submit to imperial oversight. Your expansion will cease. Your colonies in restricted zones will be abandoned. Your merchant fleet will be reduced by 70%. Your military will be disbanded except for system defense forces. You will pay reparations for the damage you have caused, and you will accept imperial governors on your worlds to ensure compliance. The chamber went silent. This was vassalization in everything but name. Humanity would become a subject species, their independence stripped away, their future controlled by beings who had ruled the galaxy longer than humans had existed. These terms are not negotiable, Calthor said. You have one cycle to accept. If you refuse, the Empire will enforce compliance through military action. This is not a threat. This is a statement of fact. Do you understand? All eyes turned to Chen. This was the moment where he was supposed to panic or plead or ask for mercy. This was where the human ambassador should fall to his knees and beg for leniency. This was where humanity learned its place in the galactic order. Instead, Chen reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small metal case. He opened it slowly, revealing 20 hand-rolled cigarettes. They were made from real tobacco, grown in his grandfather's farm in rural China. Tobacco had been banned on most human worlds for 200 years, but Chen had kept the tradition alive. He had definitely been banned in the council chambers since the building was constructed. He took one cigarette and placed it between his lips. Then he pulled out his lighter, an ancient thing made of brass that had belonged to his great-great-grandfather. It had survived 2 world wars, 3 colonial uprisings, and the journey to the stars. Alarms began to sound immediately. The chamber's atmosphere control systems detected the combustion. Security drones activated, their weapons charging. Several ambassadors began shouting in their native languages. The War Master's crystalline body flashed red with anger. Chen flicked the lighter. The flame caught, He lit the cigarette, took a long, deep drag, and let the smoke drift slowly from his mouth. "No," he said quietly. The chamber erupted. Ambassadors were shouting. Security was moving. And the War Master's voice was booming through the translation network demanding order. But Chen just stood there, smoking his cigarette, completely calm. "Did you just refuse the Empire?" Calthor demanded. Chen took another drag. "I did. You understand what this means? This is a declaration of war." "I know," Chen said. The smoke curled around his head like a halo. "I heard you the first time." The War Master leaned forward, trying to intimidate through sheer physical presence. Chen was not impressed. He had seen bigger things than Calthor. He had stood at the edge of black holes and watched stars die. He had walked through the ruins of old Tokyo after the third impact. Size did not frighten him. "Your species will be destroyed," Calthor said. "Maybe," Chen admitted. He tapped ash onto the pristine floor. Several ambassadors gasped at the disrespect. "But probably not." "You have 3,000 ships," Calthor said. "We have 200,000. Your largest colony has 12 million inhabitants. Our smallest member species has 40 billion. You have been in space for 50 years. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000. What makes you think you can resist us?" Chen smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something you did not. "I was not planning to tell you until it was too late. Because we have been getting ready for this conversation since the day we met you," Chen said. He took another drag from his cigarette. "You want to know why I am not scared? Let me tell you a story about Earth." The War Master gestured and the security drones powered down. This had gone beyond protocol now. This had become something else. Something that needed to be heard. "Humanity has been at war for its entire existence," Chen said. "War with nature. War with each other. War with extinction itself. We have faced down nuclear annihilation. We have survived planetary disasters. We have rebuilt from ashes more times than I can count. You are threatening us with war? War is what we do. It is what we are good at. It is the only thing we have ever truly mastered." He dropped the cigarette and crushed it under his boot, grinding it into the perfect floor. "So go ahead, War Master. Declare your war. Send your fleets. Bring your armies. We will be waiting." The chamber was silent as Chen turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind him, 847 species tried to understand what had just happened. War was coming, and the human had smiled. The emergency session was called for the next day. The council demanded an explanation for Ambassador Chen's behavior. Smoking in the chamber was bad enough, but refusing the Empire's terms was something else entirely. It had not happened in living memory, and some of the council members had very long memories indeed. Chen arrived exactly on time, carrying a datapad and another cigarette already lit. The security drones tracked him but did not interfere. The War Master had given specific orders. Let the human speak. Let him explain himself before the war began. "You asked for an explanation," Chen said, standing in the speaking circle. "I am going to give you one. But you are not going to like it." He activated his datapad and holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber. "Images from Earth, old and new, beautiful and terrible. This is my home world," Chen said. "It is a small planet in an average star system on the edge of an unremarkable galaxy. By your standards, it is nothing special. But to understand why I refused your terms, you need to understand what we survived to get here." The first image showed ancient humans, barely more than animals, huddled around fires in caves. Predators with teeth like knives prowled in the darkness beyond the light. "We evolved on a death world," Chen said. "Everything on Earth wanted to kill us. The predators, the diseases, the weather, the plants. We had no claws, no armor, no venom. We were slow and weak and we should have died. But we did not. We learned to make weapons. We learned to work together. We learned to kill things bigger and stronger than us." The images changed, showing wars. Thousands of years of warfare, armies clashing with swords and spears and guns, cities burning, empires rising and falling. "We fought each other for 10,000 years, Chen continued. Tribe against tribe, nation against nation, ideology against ideology. We killed millions of our own kind over land, resources, religion, pride. We got very good at it." The next series of images made several ambassadors turn away. Nuclear explosions, mushroom clouds rising over cities. The aftermath, showing shadows burned into walls where people had been standing. "We invented weapons that could destroy our entire species," Chen said, "and we used them. We dropped atomic bombs on cities full of civilians. We built enough nuclear weapons to kill every living thing on Earth 10 times over. We pointed them at each other and played a game called mutually assured destruction. The rules were simple. If you kill us, we kill you, and everyone dies together. Ambassador Tilorn of the Peaceful Collective stood up, her feathers ruffling in distress. This is barbarism. How did your species survive? Barely, Chen admitted. We came within minutes of ending ourselves several times, but we did not. We learned to live with the fear. We learned that sometimes the only way to prevent war is to make war too terrible to imagine. The images shifted to show environmental disasters. Oceans choked with plastic, forests burning, ice caps melting, cities flooded. We poisoned our own planet, Chen said. We burned fossil fuels until our atmosphere changed. We killed entire ecosystems. We made thousands of species extinct. We knew we were destroying our home, and we did it anyway because the alternative was changing how we lived. Then how are you still alive? Asked Ambassador Kreth, his tentacles coiling in confusion. We fixed it, Chen said simply. It took 200 years and cost billions of lives, but we fixed it. We cleaned the oceans. We regrew the forests. We changed our entire civilization. We did it because the alternative was extinction, and humans are really stubborn about not going extinct. More images appeared. Asteroid impacts, AI rebellions, colony ships disappearing into deep space, plagues that killed billions. After we reached space, things got worse, Chen said. We built artificial intelligences that turned on us. We had to fight a war against machines we created. We won, but barely. Then an asteroid hit Earth and killed 2 billion people. We deflected the next 3. We had colony riots on Mars that turned into a civil war. We survived that too. He pulled up a chart showing Earth's population over time. It looked like a roller coaster, dropping sharply again and again, but always recovering. 14 near-extinction events, Chen said, pointing at the lowest points. 14 times we should have died. 14 times we survived. Not because we were lucky. Not because we were special. But because we refused to quit. Because humans are too angry and too stubborn to just lie down and die. The War Master had been silent throughout the presentation, but now he spoke. What is your point, Ambassador? You have suffered. Many species have suffered. It does not change the reality of your situation. Chen smiled that unpleasant smile again. My point is this, you think you are threatening us with war. You think overwhelming force will make us surrender. You think we will be frightened by your fleets and your power. But we have been preparing for this since the day we met you. He pulled up new data, information that made the council members lean forward in shock. Human military assessments of every major empire species. Detailed analysis of imperial fleet compositions. Wargame simulations showing hundreds of different conflict scenarios. We knew this was coming, Chen said. We knew that eventually some bigger power would try to push us around. So we studied you. We learned everything we could about how the Empire fights, how it thinks, how it maintains control. Do you know what we learned? He let the question hang in the air. We learned that you have been at peace for 500 years. We learned that your military is designed for intimidation, not actual combat. We learned that every species in the Empire was pacified the same way. Overwhelming force, quick victory, minimal casualties on your side. You show up with massive fleets, the enemy surrenders, and you take over without actually fighting. Chen's voice grew harder. But humans do not surrender. We do not know how. It is not in our nature. You can kill us, absolutely. You can destroy our colonies and burn our worlds. But we will fight you every step of the way. We will make you pay for every meter of ground. We will turn every battle into a nightmare that your species will remember for generations. Ambassador Tilorn spoke up again, her voice trembling. You would accept extinction rather than submit? We have faced extinction 14 times, Chen reminded her. What is one more? At least this time we will take someone with us. The chamber was silent. The casual way Chen talked about mutual destruction was more frightening than any threat. You asked why I'm not scared, Chen said. He pulled out another cigarette and lit it, blowing smoke toward the ceiling. I am not scared because I know something you do not. War is what we are good at. Peace is what we struggle with. You are threatening to throw us into the environment where we function best. You are giving us permission to do what we have always done better than anything else. He looked around at the assembled species, meeting as many eyes as he could. So here is my counteroffer, Chen said. Leave us alone. Accept our territorial claims. Open trade relations. And we will continue being the peaceful, friendly species we have been pretending to be for the last 50 years. Or start your war and find out why humans are the only species to ever invent the concept of mutually assured destruction and decide it was an acceptable outcome. Chen turned and walked toward the exit. At the doorway, he stopped and looked back. "You have one cycle to decide," he said, throwing the War Master's words back at him. "Choose wisely." The door closed behind him, leaving 847 species to contemplate what they had just learned. The decision took less than 6 hours. The Empire chose war. They could not back down now, not after 500 years of unchallenged authority. If they let humanity defy them, every other species would start getting ideas. Order had to be maintained even if it required force. The first target was chosen carefully. 3 colonies in the Outer Rim, far from Earth, lightly defended with a combined population of 12 million. The Empire would crush them quickly, show humanity the cost of defiance, and force them back to the negotiating table. It was the standard playbook, tested over centuries. Fleet Admiral Jatrek commanded the assault force. 200 warships, more than enough to handle some primitive human outposts. His species, the Vorath, had been warriors once, before the Empire brought them into the fold 3,000 years ago. Now they served as the Empire's military arm, enforcing peace through superior firepower. "All ships report ready," his second officer announced. The fleet hung in space just outside the human colony system of New Perth, sensors already mapping the defenses. Or rather, the lack of defenses. "I see mining stations, cargo haulers, and 3 patrol ships," Jatrek observed. "No military installations. No defense platforms. No fleet. They are colonists," his tactical officer said. "Miners and farmers. This will be over quickly." Jatrek was not so sure. He had read the reports from the council chamber, watched the recordings of Ambassador Chen's speech. Something felt wrong about this. But orders were orders, and the Empire expected results. "Begin the assault," he commanded. The fleet jumped into the system, emerging from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 200 warships, weapons charged, shields active. An overwhelming show of force designed to make resistance impossible. They received their first surprise immediately. The 3 patrol ships did not run. They did not try to negotiate. They turned toward the Imperial fleet and accelerated to attack speed. "They are suicide runs," the tactical officer said. "All 3 ships are on collision courses with our capital ships. Shoot them down," Jatrek ordered. This was madness. 3 ships against 200? What were the humans thinking? The patrol ships died under focused fire, but not before releasing their cargo. Hundreds of small objects scattered through space, moving too fast to track. "Mines," someone shouted, but that was wrong. They were not mines. They were projectiles. Tiny masses of metal accelerated to a significant percentage of light speed. Crude, simple, and devastatingly effective. The impacts shredded through shields designed to stop energy weapons. 3 Imperial ships were crippled before anyone understood what was happening. 2 more were destroyed when their reactors breached. "Return fire on the mining stations," Jatrek ordered. "If those were the weapons, destroy the source." But the mining stations were already moving. They were not stations at all, not anymore. They were mobile fortresses, their mining equipment converted into weapons. The massive lasers designed to cut through asteroids tore into Imperial shields. The mass drivers that launched ore became artillery pieces firing solid metal slugs at relativistic speeds. "How are civilians doing this?" the tactical officer demanded. They were not civilians. Not really. Every human who came to these colonies knew this day might come. They had prepared. The miners were veterans of Earth's wars. The farmers had military training. The cargo haulers had hidden weapons. Everyone had a job, everyone had a plan, and everyone was willing to die rather than surrender. The battle turned into chaos. The Empire's ships were better armed, better armored, better everything. But the humans fought in ways that violated every rule of civilized warfare. They used false distress signals to lure ships into traps. They hacked into communication networks and sent false orders. They detonated their own ships next to Imperial vessels, using themselves as bombs. "They are animals," someone on the bridge said, watching a cargo hauler ram an Imperial destroyer at full speed. Jatrek said nothing. Animals did not plan like this. Animals did not prepare like this. These were not animals. These were predators, and they had teeth. The mining station New Perth Prime was the last to fall. It held out for 6 hours, its lasers cutting through ship after ship. When the Empire finally cracked its shields and breached the hull, they found it rigged to explode. The humans inside had set charges throughout the structure, waiting for the boarding parties to enter. The explosion destroyed the station and took 8 Imperial ships with it. When the battle finally ended, all 3 colonies were in Imperial hands. The mission was technically a success. But Jotrick looked at his casualty reports and felt sick. 80 ships destroyed, another 40 damaged beyond immediate repair, 15,000 Imperial soldiers dead, all to take 3 colonies from 12 million humans who should have surrendered immediately. Send the report to Imperial Command, he ordered quietly. All targets secured. Victory achieved, but it did not feel like victory. It felt like they had grabbed a thorned branch and were only now realizing how badly they were bleeding. The report reached Imperial Command within hours. It reached the Galactic Council within days. And it reached every species in the Empire within a week. The footage was everywhere, spreading through networks faster than anyone could contain it. Everyone watched the humans fight. Everyone saw how they converted civilian equipment into weapons. Everyone saw the suicide attacks, the improvised explosives, the refusal to surrender even when defeat was certain. Everyone saw Imperial ships burning. Ambassador Talorn watched the footage in her quarters and felt her feathers go cold. Her species had surrendered to the Empire after seeing their fleet. They had chosen survival over freedom, but humans chose differently. Ambassador Kreth watched and coiled his tentacles tight with worry. His species had fought the Empire once, lost badly, and accepted terms. But they had fought with honor, following the rules of warfare. The humans had no rules. Ambassador Chen watched the footage and lit another cigarette. He had not wanted this. He had hoped the Empire would back down, would recognize that humans were too stubborn to be worth the effort. But they had chosen violence, and now they would learn. He opened a communication channel to Earth Command. They took the bait, he said. New Perth, New Dublin, and New Manila have served their purpose. The Empire thinks they won. Let them. Phase 2 begins now. On Earth, deep in the underground facilities that the rest of the galaxy did not know existed, factories roared to life. Shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt started assembly lines. Soldiers who had been training for 50 years received their deployment orders. Humanity had been at peace with the galaxy for half a century. But they had not been idle. They had been preparing, building, planning, getting ready for the day when someone would try to push them around. That day had come. In his command ship, Fleet Admiral Jotrek received new orders. The colonies were just the beginning. The Empire was committing fully now. 10,000 ships were being mobilized. Multiple fleets were being assigned to different human systems. The full weight of Imperial power was coming down. Jotrek read the orders and remembered the footage from New Perth. 12 million humans had cost him 80 ships. There were 400 billion humans in total, spread across 200 colonies and Earth itself. He did the math and felt cold. If every human fought like the ones at New Perth, if every colony was prepared like those 3, if every battle cost that many ships, then the Empire's entire military might not be enough. They would win, certainly. Superior numbers always won eventually, but the cost would be catastrophic. He filed his report detailing his concerns. He recommended caution, further intelligence gathering, possibly negotiation. The response came back within the hour. His concerns were noted and dismissed. The Empire would not negotiate with defiant species. The assault would proceed as planned. Jotrek ordered his fleet to prepare for the next engagement. But as he watched his ships move into formation, he could not shake the feeling that they were not hunting prey. They were walking into a trap. The Empire sent 10,000 ships. It was 5% of their total military strength, more force than had been deployed in 3 centuries. The target list included 47 major human colonies and Earth itself. The message was clear: submit or be destroyed. High Command assigned Fleet Admiral Jotrek to command the assault on Mars, while other fleets targeted the outer colonies. The plan was to strike everywhere at once, overwhelming human defenses before they could respond. Swift, brutal, decisive, the way the Empire had always fought. The fleets jumped into their target systems simultaneously, coordinated down to the second. It should have been humanity's darkest hour. Instead, it became something else entirely. Jotrek emerged from faster-than-light travel expecting to find Mars defended by the ships the galaxy had seen. patrol vessels, cargo haulers with weapons, maybe a few dozen military craft. What he found instead made him understand that humanity had been lying for 50 years. 3,000 warships hung in orbit around Mars. Real warships, purpose-built for combat, bristling with weapons. They were not the largest ships in the galaxy, not the most advanced. But they were there, and they had been hidden completely. Where did they come from? His second officer demanded. They built them, Jatrek said quietly. They have been building them since first contact. While we thought they were peaceful traders and colonists, they were preparing for war. The human fleet did not wait for negotiations. They attacked immediately, their formation splitting into dozens of smaller groups that swarmed the Imperial fleet like predators. The tactics were nothing like civilized warfare. Ships attacked from multiple angles, refused to hold formation, broke every rule of proper naval engagement. But they were effective. The battle for Mars lasted 14 hours. The Empire won technically. They drove the human fleet back, secured orbital space, and prepared for ground assault. But the victory cost them 600 ships. 600 ships for one planet, and they had 47 more targets to hit. Worse, Mars was not done fighting. The planet's surface was honeycombed with bunkers, railguns, and missile silos. When the Empire tried to land troops, they were met with fire from weapons buried in the ground. The humans had turned their planet into a fortress, and Mars was not the only surprise. Earth itself revealed defenses that made Mars look simple. The moon was a weapons platform, its entire surface hiding guns. The asteroid belt was a minefield. Stations that were supposed to be scientific research facilities opened fire with military-grade weapons. Reports started coming in from other fleets. Every human colony was prepared. Every single one. The humans had militarized everything. Their cargo ships had hidden weapons. Their mining stations could fight. Their civilian population was trained and armed. There were no easy targets, no quick victories, but humanity's tactics were what truly terrified the Empire. They did not fight like civilized species. They fought like they were trying to survive extinction, which meant they fought without rules. Human ships released computer viruses into Imperial networks. Communication systems crashed. Life support failed on dozens of ships. Navigation computers started giving false readings. The Empire's technological advantage meant nothing when their own systems turned against them. Humans targeted supply lines, destroying fuel depots and supply ships. They hacked into Imperial logistics networks and rerouted supplies to the wrong places. They launched raids deep into Imperial territory, hitting targets that were supposed to be safe. They used biological weapons, releasing engineered diseases that targeted specific species. They used kinetic bombardment, dropping asteroids on Imperial military bases. They used psychological warfare, broadcasting footage of Imperial defeats on every channel. Most disturbing of all, they took no prisoners. Imperial soldiers who surrendered were executed on sight. Ships that tried to retreat were hunted down and destroyed. The humans showed no mercy, gave no quarter, and seemed to enjoy the violence in a way that made other species uncomfortable. Ambassador Talorn brought her concerns to the Galactic Council 6 weeks into the war. Her voice shook as she spoke. The humans are not fighting a war, she said. They are fighting a war of extinction. They do not want victory. They want to destroy us completely. Every battle, every engagement, they fight like it is their last. This is not sustainable. We need to negotiate before this gets worse. The War Master was present via hologram, his crystalline form flickering with anger. We do not negotiate with species that refuse to accept proper authority. The Empire has never backed down, and we will not start now. Then the Empire will bleed, Ambassador Kreth said. My analysts have run the numbers. At current casualty rates, the war will cost us 40% of our military within a year. Maybe more. Can we afford that? The humans will lose more, the War Master argued. The humans do not care, Chen said, walking into the chamber uninvited. He was smoking again, his cigarette leaving a trail of smoke. You still do not understand. We are not fighting to win. We are fighting because fighting is what we do. You want to know how long we can keep this up? Decades, centuries, however long it takes. Your species will be extinct, the War Master said. Chen shrugged. Maybe, but yours will remember us. Every species in the Empire will remember the humans. They will remember that we made you bleed. They will remember that we refused to submit, and they will start wondering if they should do the same. That was the real threat, and everyone in the chamber knew it. The Empire was held together by the illusion of invincibility. If humanity broke that illusion, if they proved that the Empire could be hurt, then other species might start getting ideas. Already, reports were coming in of unrest on member worlds. 37 species were quietly discussing whether they wanted to be part of an empire that was pouring resources into an unwinnable war. 12 were openly talking about succession. The war was not just bleeding military resources. It was breaking the empire itself. Chen walked through the chamber, his footsteps echoing. You have lost 15% of your military in 6 months. You have lost the support of a dozen member species. Your economy is straining under the war effort, and we are just getting started. We have not even shown you what happens when humans really try. What more could you possibly do? Ambassador Talorn asked. Chen smiled that terrible smile. Everything we have done so far, that is us holding back. That is us fighting with restraint because we are trying to be civilized. You want to know what unrestricted human warfare looks like? You really want to find out what we do when we stop following any rules at all? The chamber was silent. No one wanted to answer that question. We invented nuclear weapons and used them on ourselves, Chen continued. We created artificial plagues that could wipe out our species and kept them in storage just in case. We have weapons we have never used because they were too terrible even for us. You want to see those weapons? You want to fight that war? He dropped his cigarette and crushed it under his boot. Or you could leave us alone. Recognize our territory. Open trade. Pretend the last 6 months never happened. We will go back to being friendly neighbors. We will stop killing your people. We will stop destroying your ships. We will stop being the nightmare you cannot wake up from. Chen turned to leave, then stopped at the doorway. You have 1 week to decide. After that, we stop holding back. After that, you get to see what human warfare really looks like. He left, and the chamber descended into chaos. Ambassadors were shouting, arguing, demanding action or surrender or negotiation. The War Master was trying to maintain order, but his authority was cracking. Ambassador Talorn sat in her chair, feathers pressed flat against her body in distress. She thought about her homeworld, about her people who had surrendered to the Empire because resistance seemed impossible. She thought about the humans who were facing impossible odds and refusing to quit. She thought about Chen's words. We stop holding back. They were already fighting like demons. What would they be like without restraint? She did not want to know. More importantly, she did not think the Empire could survive finding out. For the first time in 500 years, the Galactic Empire was afraid. The week passed slowly. Across human space, the fighting continued, but something had changed. The Empire's attacks became more cautious, more careful. They were still fighting, but they were not pushing as hard. They were waiting to see what the Council would decide. On Earth, in the underground command centers, military leaders prepared for the worst. If the Empire chose to continue the war, humanity would unleash everything. The weapons they had kept locked away, the tactics they had avoided using, the horrors they had invented but never deployed. It would be terrible. It would be brutal. And it would ensure that even if humanity lost, the Empire would never recover. But it would not come to that. Ambassador Chen knew it would not, because he understood something the War Master did not. The Empire had forgotten how to fight a real war, but they had not forgotten how to calculate costs and benefits. And the numbers did not lie. The meeting was called on neutral ground, a space station in unclaimed territory. The Empire sent the War Master and a dozen high-ranking officials. Humanity sent Ambassador Chen alone, carrying nothing but his cigarettes and his lighter. They met in a small conference room, plain and functional. No grand gestures, no dramatic settings. Just two sides trying to find a way to stop the bleeding. The War Master spoke first. The Empire is prepared to offer revised terms. If humanity ceases all military operations immediately, we will withdraw from your core systems. You may keep your independence, but you must accept limits on your expansion and pay reparations for the damage you have caused. Chen lit a cigarette and let the smoke drift across the table. No, you have not even heard the full terms. I do not need to, Chen said. You are still trying to control us. You are still trying to make us submit. The answer is no. One of the Imperial officials, a scaled creature named Rathton, leaned forward. You have lost 400 billion people. 30% of your infrastructure is destroyed. Your economy is in ruins. How can you possibly refuse our offer? Because we can rebuild. Chen said simply. We have done it before, but if we accept your terms, we will never be free. Better to die free than live as slaves. This is insanity, Rathton said. This is humanity, Chen corrected. We do not think like you. You see a cost-benefit analysis. We see a principle worth dying for. The War Master's crystalline body pulsed with frustrated light. Then what do you want? What terms would you accept? Chen took a long drag from his cigarette and leaned back in his chair. Complete independence. Recognition of all our territorial claims, including the systems you are currently occupying. Full trade relations with no restrictions. A 50-year non-aggression pact. And no reparations from either side. We forgive your damages, you forgive ours, and we both walk away. That is surrender, the War Master said. You are asking the Empire to surrender. I am asking the Empire to be smart, Chen said. You have lost 15% of your military in 6 months. 37 member species are talking about leaving. Your economy is buckling under the war effort, and we are just getting started. He leaned forward, his eyes cold. You have been at peace for 500 years. You have forgotten what real war costs. You think in terms of quick victories and acceptable losses. But we have fought wars that lasted decades. We have fought wars that killed billions. We have fought wars where both sides ended up devastated and broken, and we survived them all. You will not survive us, the War Master insisted. Maybe not, Chen admitted. But you will not survive us either. That is the point you keep missing. We are not trying to win. We are trying to make you understand that fighting us costs more than it is worth. He stubbed out his cigarette on the table, leaving a burn mark. Let me tell you what happens if you refuse these terms. We stop holding back. We release the weapons we have been keeping in reserve. We use the tactics we have been avoiding. We turn this from a war into mutual destruction. You are bluffing, Rathton said. Chen pulled out his data pad and showed them footage. New weapons being tested on remote asteroids. Weapons that could crack planets. Biological agents that could wipe out entire species. Nanomachines that could disassemble ships at the molecular level. AI constructs designed for one purpose, killing. We invented these during our own wars, Chen said. We banned them, locked them away, promised never to use them. But if you force us, we will break every promise we ever made. Not because we want to, because we have to. Because survival is all that matters. The room was silent. The Imperial officials looked at the footage, their faces showing various expressions of horror, disbelief, and dawning understanding. You would destroy yourselves, the War Master said quietly. If we take you with us, yes, Chen said. That is what mutually assured destruction means. That is the game we played with ourselves for 200 years. We got very good at it. He lit another cigarette, his hand steady. But it does not have to be that way. You can accept our terms. You can walk away. You can tell the galaxy that you chose peace over pointless destruction. No one will think less of you. They will think you were wise. They will think we were weak, the War Master said. They will think you were practical, Chen corrected. You cannot afford this war. Everyone knows it. Your own member species know it. Accepting terms is not weakness. It is recognizing reality. Ambassador Talorn, who had been allowed to attend as a neutral observer, spoke up. The human is right. The Empire has made its point. You have shown your strength. But continuing this war will only damage both sides. There is no shame in choosing peace. The War Master sat in silence for a long moment. Around him, the other Imperial officials were whispering to each other, calculating, considering. The numbers were clear. The Empire could win, but the cost would be catastrophic. They would lose half their military. They would lose dozens of member species. They would spend decades rebuilding, and for what? To control one species that would never stop fighting? To prove a point that was already made? To maintain an illusion of invincibility that was already broken? If we accept these terms, the War Master said slowly, the Empire will never be the same. Other species will see that defiance can work. Other species will see that the Empire is reasonable, Chen said, that you choose diplomacy over destruction, that you are strong enough to walk away from a fight when it makes sense. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. The silence stretched out. Finally, the War Master nodded once. We will accept your terms, he said. Complete independence, territorial recognition, trade relations, 50-year non-aggression pact, no reparations. Chen stood up and extended his hand. After a moment, the War Master reached out and touched it, the human gesture of agreement feeling strange to his crystalline form. The war is over, Chen said. We can both go home. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. The Galactic Empire and humanity had reached a peace agreement. The war was over. Humanity had won its independence. The Empire had chosen peace. Different species interpreted it different ways. Some saw it as the Empire showing mercy. Some saw it as humanity forcing a draw. Some saw it as the beginning of the end of imperial dominance. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity was different. They fought differently, thought differently, survived differently. They were not like the other species. They were something new and dangerous and impossible to control. Ambassador Talorn returned to her quarters and sent a message to her homeworld. "We should speak with the humans," she wrote. "Not as subjects, not as enemies, but as equals. They have something to teach us about survival." Ambassador Kreth did the same, his message more blunt. "Never fight the humans unless you are prepared to die. They do not surrender. They do not quit. They will burn down the galaxy before they accept defeat." On Earth, the celebrations lasted for days. Humanity had stood up to the largest empire in the galaxy and forced them to back down. They had won their freedom, proven their strength, and secured their future. But in the command centers, the military leaders were already planning. They were analyzing the war, studying what worked and what did not, preparing for the next time someone tried to push humanity around, because there would be a next time. There always was. Ambassador Chen returned to his quarters on the council station. He poured himself a drink, lit a cigarette, and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Empire was licking its wounds and reconsidering its approach to governance. Somewhere out there, other species were watching humanity and wondering what they were capable of. Chen smiled. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Let them remember that humanity had survived 14 extinction events, fought wars with themselves, and come out stronger every time. The galaxy thought it knew humans now. They thought they understood what humanity was capable of, but they had only seen humanity at war. They had not seen humanity at peace, building and creating and growing. They had not seen what humans could accomplish when they were not fighting for survival. Chen took a drag from his cigarette and raised his glass to the window. "To the future," he said quietly. "May it be more boring than the past." But he knew it would not be. Humanity was too curious, too ambitious, too stubborn. They would keep exploring, keep expanding, keep pushing boundaries, and eventually someone else would get nervous and try to stop them. When that day came, Chen would be ready.